Hello and welcome everybody to the Separate to Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Coach Juice, aka Julian Baldi. On Separate to Elevate podcast, we talk about mindset, training performance, football, and a lot more. But in today's episode 00, I want to go into my journey, the root of Coach Juice. Today I have a very special co-host because my roommate is currently out of town. Then I'm sitting next to Mia. She's a softball player and communication major at Valdosta State. Mia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this episode just to go really like back to the journey, how it all started, and to the root of Coach Juice.
I am too because you can see on your following, all your followers are commenting just questions about younger you and how you stay motivated, and I think giving your followers a piece of you basically and being more open and like having more emotions with the journey and showing them who you truly are is going to be really good for you.
Yes, that's basically like with this podcast. I want to bring value. I want to talk about mindset and everything like to help people like to have a better life, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like the first question that I have for you is how did you start playing football?
So I started playing football in eighth grade back in Italy. Oh, first of all, a lot of people be asking me my accent. Yes, I'm Italian. I'm all from the boat. I came to the U.S. when I was 18 years old. So if you hear an accent, it's Italian because I'm from Italy. I was born and lived in Italy. That's where I'm from. So to just put that question out of the way. So going back to your question, how and when did I start playing football? It was around eighth grade in high school, and I played basketball for most of my younger years, and I just got tired of it at one point. And after that, I really was trying to look for a new sport. So one time I was watching the movie with my mom, The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler, where they play football in jail.
Mhm.
And I was like, damn, like this looks cool. Like this looks like an interesting sport. So I didn't really know what it is because in Europe, like football is a very unknown sport. If you tell somebody you play football, people think, oh, you play rugby.
Yeah.
That type of thing because it's very unknown. It's a very new sport. Even back then, now it's growing a lot, but I'm talking about like 10 years ago, it's a very unknown sport. So I looked it up online, and the only team we had that was actually in my city was the only football team in the whole state where I lived at. So I was like, oh, this looks cool. Let me go try
Yeah, you
it
got
out.
lucky with that. It's right
Exactly.
there.
So I went there. First ever practice I had. Shout out to the Giants Bolzano. That's my club team back in Italy. We did the first ever drill we did was bull in the ring. I borrowed a helmet and a shoulder pad they gave me. And for people who don't know, bull in the ring is I mean it was more like an old school drill. People don't really do it anymore because it's considered dangerous, I guess. It's basically where you're in a circle and the coach calls out numbers and like you trying to like they run at you, trying to hit you, and trying to like shed the block. That type of drill. Um, so and the first time like while I did that drill, I got hit really bad in my quad, and at that moment I was like, what am I doing here? Like this is stupid.
Yeah, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Why am I letting these people hit me?
Exactly. I got hurt. I was like, damn, like what am I doing? But then once I get back after 5 minutes, took my breath. I did it again. I was like, oh, hold on, this is actually pretty nice. Like I kind of like
The surge of adrenaline.
exactly like it hit me, and like yeah, from that is history. Like that really like get everything going. Like I fell in love with the sport, with the intensity, the camaraderie, all that good stuff. So yeah, that was in Italy when I was around 13 years old. That's when I started playing football after watching a movie.
That's actually so. So another question I have is, what was younger Julian like in Italy? What was his mindset? What was his goals? And like, what was his personality like?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question because when I was younger, I think I would say I lived in this like under like a dome, like this ceiling of like, oh, only this is possible. Like
Mhm.
the greats are the greats, or like um, famous people are famous people, but that's not for you. Like just like the stereotypical stuff, like play it safe. Like I think that was really ingrained for me, like in a younger age. Not like just cause like to keep most people safe. That's why people do it. Just like cause like they want like see people fail. It's like, ah, just don't. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But yeah, when I was younger, I was a shy, chubby kid. That's why my first ever position in football, I was a center. Funny enough. Um, but yeah, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and football really opened the door for me, like to have, because now I had a whole football team as friends. You know what I mean?
Right. Did uh getting into football help your confidence any when you were a kid?
I mean, for sure, it gave me confidence, meaning like, oh, now I have a lot more friends, like people I can rely upon, and like. But at the beginning, not really. It's only like over the first 2 years when then I really started also like working out and all the other stuff, like to really like gain more confidence,
Mhm.
and also just like being in a team setting helped me like be able to like communicate better because I don't used to talk to a lot of people, so now just being around people know how to like you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know how to handle situations now.
Exactly. Like that helped me a lot. Um, and then yeah, like I said, my mindset was I would say like I was somebody completely different back then than I am now per se. And it took me like football really opened the door for me to like have a lot of experiences, meet a lot of people. Like I owe football a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a really big part of it. And even when I was young, like I think after 2 years of playing football, like I started getting a little more in shape, and then they put me a linebacker. That's the position I play currently right now too. I really fell in love with the game and like all the perks, like I said, like the confidence it gave me, the camaraderie, the family environment I had.
Right.
So I was like, I had this football calendar hanging in my door that my mom got me. I was like, yo, what's the next step here? Because like I said, Italy is a very unknown sport. Like,
Right. So, like, were you already at the highest level in Italy at this time?
no, I was still very young. I was like 15 or 16 when I had this realization. Okay,
Okay.
I really want to try to make it. So the highest level we can get to in Italy back then, I'm talking about 8 years ago, was like playing for the national team, the Italian national team.
Mhm.
So I worked really hard for that. I was able to do that, and also just to give the listeners a perspective. In Italy, like high schools and like it's very different from the U.S. because like in the U.S. like sports and school are connected, whereas in Italy it's separated. So you go to high school and then you play for a club.
Oh, okay.
So it's more like a hobby.
Mhm.
Even like being going pro in sports in Italy is very hard because it's school takes so much time from you.
Right.
So I really struggled in school. I even changed high school 4 times in a row. My so basically I went to 4 different high schools, and I really like commend my parents for this. I'm really grateful that like they supported me even though they didn't really understand.
Yeah, they didn't get it.
Yeah, because like I said, like they even nowadays they don't really understand what the whole rules of football, and but it's just funny. I really like appreciate them all they did for me, just like to support me in that way, because I had this vision, this dream that only I could see, and like they was trying to support me even though they didn't see it. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
think a lot of people like they want other people to like support their dreams and see their vision, even though it's their own dream, their own vision. Don't get me wrong. Like even my parents, like even like back like 2 years ago, they still like, why you doing all this work? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They didn't grasp the hunger I had for this mission, for this dream. So after that, I mean, like I said, even the hunger I had back in Italy, like I was after playing 2 to 3 years after making the national team, I had like I was my mind was set. I wanna go play college football because watching all these highlight videos, pump up videos,
Right.
yeah, the pump up hype college football. I was like, damn, this is so cool. Like,
Mhm.
how can I make this? Like, how can I go play college football? So I was basically obsessed with it. I started like practicing very hard, working hard every day. Like back home, like you divide it into age groups. So we have the under so every the practices of under 15 and under 19 years old. like the under 15 practice at 4 p.m. Under 16, I mean under 19 practice at like 6 p.m. And I used to stay for both sessions, so I basically practice 4 hours in a row.
Oh, you're getting those extra reps in.
Yes, exactly. And then, and again, like my parents didn't really understand like why I was doing what I was doing. But like I said, it was my vision, it was my dream. Like I wanted it so badly, and I even remember now, like sometimes, like when I was practicing with the older guys who practice like from 8 to 10 p.m. I used to stay like later and like to turn the lights off the field, and I was just like there in the dark, just fucking hitting the sled or doing field work, just like a vision, just having the vision in front of me, like, oh wow, like this, I'm doing all this work because I want to go somewhere.
Hmm.
And I would say I was made fun of a lot because I didn't have a life. Like all I did is
Football was your life.
yes, football was my life. I never went out. I didn't have no social life. I had a few friends, but that was it. Like it was waking up, going to school, which I hated,
Right.
and then working out, training. That was it, 24/7. Like all my mind was focused about how can I make it to the United States. And back then it was a lot harder, I think, than it's now. So that was some that like even back, like I remember this one high school teacher always used to tell me, because I didn't tell a lot of people, but some people asked me, and like this one high school teacher knew, like because I missed a few days because I was like I went somewhere for I think a combine training or something. I said, oh yeah, you just because I did bad on the test or something. She was like, yeah, you just go to the U.S. like to tease me, you know.
Hmm.
And I still remember this shit to this day because it really like it hurt me. I was like, "Fuck
Right,
you,"
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and like that's one of those demons I always tell about. Like when I do workouts and stuff, like this little like, okay, you said I couldn't do something, so
Here
just
you are in the U.S.
yes. That was then after a year, she told me that then I went to the U.S. But just like little things like that, like really trigger me. I was like, okay, like I'll show you, like you, and it really like also another thought I had or something I remember was like when I was with the um, at practice with the older guys, they were saying, yeah, why you doing all this stuff? You don't have a life. Like you should go out party with us, blah blah blah. I said, no, I do this because I was trying to do something. I didn't tell them exactly what I wanted to do
Hmm.
because I knew they wouldn't even make more fun of me than they already did. So, and all those things, they just accumulated in my mind, just like when I didn't feel like working out or didn't feel like eating right, like all this shit accumulated so much that like I remembered this shit. Okay, I don't want to do something. Remember this teacher who told you, oh yeah, just go to the United States, like that triggered me. I said, okay, I'll show you. You know, it's just
Right.
fuel. It's fuel to the fire to like make it happen.
Yeah, that was like fuel for your dream. So you were going to get to the U.S. after that.
Exactly, exactly. So basically, after switching high school 4 times, working really hard, I basically did. I was trying to get into a high school, just because I knew, like, even back then, this is 7 years ago. Like, it was really hard to get into college or into college football without ever playing a snap in the United States. So what I did is like I made a little highlight tape with my highlights on video, send it out. Looked up high schools online, like send them everything, like my height and weight, like basically I did college recruiting for high schools. And then I got a few responses, and at the end of the day, I chose to go to Clearwater Academy down in Clearwater, Florida. Shout out to Coach Jesse, the head coach there.
So when you went to Clearwater for high school, was that your senior year?
Yeah, so I came over here my senior year of high school, and that was my first season in the United States to play football here.
So was that your very first time being in the U.S. or did you visit any time before?
Oh no, so I've been to the United States two times before that. Actually, like funny story. The first time I came here, I was 17. I came here to go to Nike the opening camp, which is basically like a skills camp. Cause when I used to watch like a lot of like just videos from football, Like there was Nike the opening. I was like saw like how hyped they were, like the whole like um hype around football. I was like, this is so cool. Like, and then you get invited if you're really good to Nike the opening finals, I think it's called, and you get a bunch of like cool like Nike gear. And at that point, I was a junior in high school, and I just won like $1,000 sports scholarship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and like funny enough, like with those $1,000, I bought a plane ticket to New York to go to Nike the opening. Like I said, I was 17. It's my first time ever, so I got to New York alone at 17 just to attend Nike the opening. Just cause I was like, I live by this mantra, no regrets. So I felt like this. I wanted to do some that didn't regret. Cause like, what if I go there and like I'm good at it and I get invited to the opening? Like I only have this shot right now at this moment of time. I don't want to look back and be like, ah, maybe you know what I mean. Like I live by one life, no regrets. So every decision I make, even now, it's like really focused on okay, don't have regrets moving forward. Like everything has to be very specific. Every decision has a purpose. So going back to the story of how I went to New York. So like I said, I was 17. I just spent my first $1,000 I ever gotten to get a plane ticket to go 3 days to New York to attend a 1 day camp.
1 day? It wasn't even like 2 days?
No, it was a 1 day camp.
Crazy.
And just like the experience, like I realized, so wow, like there was like 300 kids. I realized, damn, like football is like a real thing here. Like, wouldn't
that's a real deal.
Yeah, no, like even like now, I mean now, if you're from the United States, you know, like damn, like this is actually like it's a business. Like, it's a whole like people work for this stuff.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's 24/7. But that I think was the first realization I had. Wow, like I gotta step this shit up. Like just like the way I compete and everything, like the hunger I saw too. Like damn, like everybody wants it.
Yeah.
So that was like a big stepping stone. Like I would have to like step my shit up. And funny enough, like when I got to the hotel, when I got to New York, like I said, I was my first time ever flying to like overseas. Like it was like a 10-hour flight. The hotel I checked in were overbooked. It's like sorry. So I was stuck in New York, like alone, like didn't know what to do, like, and I think that was where one of the very first moments I learned how to survive, because I had no other options. Like,
yeah, you had to get a bed to sleep in.
Exactly. My whole family was on the other side of the world, currently sleeping.
Mommy couldn't make that call for you.
Exactly, currently sleeping because the time zone difference. So I basically went to a coffee shop, put out my laptop, called booking.com, whatever, like figured it out. At the end of the day, it was good, but I was very scared at that moment, and I think it really like helped me grow in the future, just like overcoming adversity and obstacles, just in general. Like that really was one of the moments. Like wow, okay, this is how you have to survive.
Right.
So I did the camp. I wouldn't say my numbers were very shitty. I don't even get into numbers right now because they were really bad. But like I said, I was still pretty chubby. I was very unathletic at that time, and that just opened me the eyes. Okay, how do I have to get better to be able to play college football? So I got back, and then a year later, I was able to go to Dallas to attend the world team. Was basically a selection about good players around the globe. Where then we played Team USA in the Dallas AT&T Stadium of the Cowboys.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that was a great experience. I made a lot of lifetime friends there. Like I said, football really opened a lot of doors. And then from that on, those two experiences then really like made me understand how great football is and how seriously it's taken in the United States. Because people, like, if I tell somebody how I worked back then in Europe versus in the United States, they'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of viewed as normal.
Yes, because like you can go somewhere in Italy or in Europe, they're like, why are you doing all this work for what? Right. And that hurts sometimes, but I always kept believing, kept the faith, and just kept working. And then, like I said, like making the jump to high school, that was really something that like
What was the transition like for you? Because I mean, you went off into a different country without your parents. Like, how did you even settle in at that point when you're so young?
Yeah, that was, I would say, I was so driven, like, because I wanted to go play, my dream was to play college football. So, I knew I came to the United States with a specific purpose and a mission. I didn't come here to party. I didn't come here for whatever. I came here like, I step on the field to be able to get film to then go like send out to maybe receive a football scholarship.
Right, you had steps in your mind.
Yes, this was like very like everything was planned.
You're very strict about it.
Exactly. Like
Right.
I put blinders on. Like we're here. Like I even remember like the first 2 weeks I came here like summer 2016 before high school season started, and I was doing a jog, and I remember I was smelling the air. I was like, wow, I'm here. Like I'm so close to this.
That U.S. Air, baby.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm so close to this football thing. Like I could feel it. So that helped me like overcome a lot of like homesickness.
Right.
But of course, like the first 2 months were really rough on me. Like just missing home, missing all my friends. Thankfully, like at that high school, Clearwater Academy, there were other like 3 Italian international students, so it was a little easier to cope with all.
Oh, I'm sure. It kind of feels like they're your family now, and you guys all have that same
Exactly,
home.
exactly. Yes. But yeah, the whole like football experience as my senior, I did really well that season, my high school year of football. I got over 100 tackles, but again, then we know college recruiting is straight business.
Right. Strictly business. How was your recruiting process?
Like I said, I was very new to this, so I didn't know exactly how it worked. I actually received a full ride scholarship to a junior college in December of my senior year. And then I didn't know how this whole signing period worked, so I was like, oh, I got a full ride to a junior college, blah blah blah. And then signing day comes, and I didn't know like how the commitment works and all that. So I waited a little too long. I was trying to text the coach. The school basically ghosted me and took my scholarship away without even giving me a heads up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was okay. That's when I actually realized, okay, damn, like football, like it's straight business here. Like they don't play around. So I was like, damn, is the dream over now? Like I'm here. Like I already back then I had a lot of adversity, a lot of obstacles I had to overcome. But I kept sending out film, and then in May, before I graduated high school, like I received a partial scholarship to Independence Community College. Yes, I was on Last Chance U season 3. um, and that's where then I committed to go play college football, and that was then a whole other experience, because one thing is having now like this foundation of like your friends in Clearwater with those Italians who like gave you this home feeling,
Right.
to then going to Kansas in the middle of nowhere, just you by yourself.
Yeah, that's brutal.
The whole JUCO struggle. The JUCO struggle is real, by the way. But I think like that those experiences now where I'm going into like really like made me like they molded me. Like I always say, I'm molded from the struggle.
Right. Out from the trenches.
Yes.
So once you made that decision to play football while you were in Italy, what were the obstacles and adversity that you had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like I said, the school part was very hard because my parents were really like, okay, you have to get an education. That was really big for them, and like I said, since I was working so hard on football, I couldn't dedicate any time for school.
Right.
But I didn't care about school at that time. So that was one part, and then just finding a way always like have being made fun of, like just like pursuing something that nobody else could see but me.
Mhm.
Like just like I said, like all the people made fun of me because I didn't have a social life, or like I never went out, like I never did something. Like I was working so hard, and I was so tunnel vision to try to find a way to make it to the United States, to then be able to play high school football and then lead into playing college football.
So when you arrived to Clearwater for high school, did you even know English at that time?
Yeah, so funny enough, like we have like 2 hours of English back in high school in Italy, but I mean, I really didn't like learn a lot from that. So I took like, cause I already knew I wanted to go to the United States. I took like extra courses to learn English. Like I was like, even like 2 years before, I took courses just to learn English to be able to, cause I knew it. Like I wanted it so bad. I knew I had to learn
Right. You knew
English.
you had to get that.
Yes, I started to watching movies in English just like to get the like everything. Like when I said I was really obsessed, I still am like with whatever I want to achieve. Like I just like was so tunnel vision that I even 2 years before I started learning English because I knew at one point I'd be able to make it to the United States. I had to know how to speak English.
Right. So you're in Clearwater now, and you had a good, you had a good season. You got over 100 tackles, but I'm sure the recruiting process, because my recruiting process was hard, and I lived in the U.S. my whole life. I'm sure that was really hard for you, only having that 1 year.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I said, the first scholarship I ever had was taken away from me by being ghosted from the coach.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, like even having a good season, like the school back then was still very small. Like Clearwater Academy actually like really grew now. Now they have like 11 players or even more each year go Division 1. Shout out to Jesse, Coach Jesse, to make that happen. But back then we were very small and unknown, so nobody knew about me or like the school in general. So thankfully I was able to, because I was just grinding on the side, just like sending out emails, reaching out to coaches, and that's how then I was able to get the partial scholarship to Independence, and then to get there the fall, and that was a whole different like environment I had to get used to, the whole JUCO environment.
Right. Could you explain what you mean by the JUCO environment?
Yeah, I mean JUCO environment, aka the JUCO struggle, like junior college, basically a 2 year community college where you basically most people go mainly or because they messed up in high school, they didn't have good grades, or they did some that like took their scholarship away, or they got hurt, or they're like under recruited. So basically, it's like a second chance to get seen and scouted again to get a scholarship for a 4 year university.
Right. So is that like everybody's just on survival mode, cutthroat, like every man for themselves?
Yes, exactly. Like the JUCO struggle is, I think, it's a kill or be killed environment. Like, cause everybody's in there. It's most junior colleges are in like middle of nowheres in the Midwest. That's where like the good ones are, and it's just like a dog fight. Like I think there was no real team chemistry. Everybody was just in it for themselves. They were just trying to like play, get film, and get the hell out of there because
Right.
it was a really tough and experience just living there, and like because all you do is you play football, you go to school, and there's nothing else because you're in the middle of nowhere. That was one of the toughest experiences I've had so far. I actually want to just move on from this topic just because I want to do an extra like episode of the Last Chance U season 3 experience at Independence Community College. Just because there's so much to unpack there and so much good stuff, I can't just put all in this episode. But basically after Independence, so I was there for 1 semester, and then they were telling me like they're bringing in all these transfers. I want to have, because back then I've really changed during COVID year. So back then I was still like not very good athletically or in football in general.
So
I was
you didn't look like Coach Juice at this time.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, not at all, not at all. I still was in shape per se, but nothing to compare to now. So basically, after they telling me that, I decided to move on to transfer. Think about transferring junior college. By the way, that year, my first year in college, I was a redshirt, so meaning I didn't play any games. I was just
Mhm.
a practice player. So I decided to transfer with no film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ballsy.
Yeah, that was hard too. So basically, what I did is I came back for the spring semester. I got back to Italy. I only took online classes, and I worked 2 jobs because I knew like it would be very hard for me to find a scholarship just because I had no film coming out of Independence after
Right.
just 1 semester there. So I worked at McDonald's and at the front desk at the business. Basically, just coming back, the hunger, the mission was still so in me. I still want to make it, but there was so much adversity coming at me. But so I decided, okay, even though if I don't find a scholarship, I want to have enough money to be able to pay for school. Because I don't want to like my parents were still supporting me, but I don't want to like bother them because we don't have a lot of money. And oh, by the way, even back at Independence, I was working as a janitor. I was working from like 6 a.m. to like 8 a.m. every day almost, driving around like a caddy, picking up trash from campus.
Right, on top of everything that you had to do
On
for
top of football,
and
school, yes, just like to be able to make money to like pay for school. Another like survival mechanism. Like coming to United States, like I said, I put those blinders on because I only got me. Like there's no phone call, there's nobody picking me up. Like even though I feel like I'm close, no, my whole family is on the other side of the globe. You know what I
right,
mean?
you have to make it happen yourself.
Yes, like I had this desperation. I really like the quote, desperation leads to success because there is no other way. You have to find a way.
That is good. So you're back in Italy, you're working two jobs, you're taking online classes. Is football still in the equation, or did that dream die out when you went back home?
Yeah, no, like the dream was still alive because I realized at one point, like I put in so much work, I was made fun of so many times. Like I had like there was no other option. Like I said, fuck it. Like I have this one life. Like why? Like this, the opportunity is now. The chance is now. So that's why I took on two jobs. I worked at McDonald's at the front desk. And I was only working like half a days, so I was still able to work out twice a day. So I did two workouts every day, like 4 or 5 times a week, for like 6 months straight while taking online classes. Again, I had no social life. I was just straight up grinding.
You're just hustling.
Yes, and the dream was more than alive because I wanted to save enough money just in case I didn't find a scholarship. And then around March of that year of that spring, I started reaching out again to every junior college because at that time I realized the only options for me was to go to a junior college to again get an opportunity to get more film and to get then a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and back then again, like the whole like working two jobs, training twice a day, like really, I really struggled mentally because I was I had the vision, but I didn't see no results. If
Right.
that makes sense. Like I was working so hard, and I was thinking, yeah, maybe blah blah blah, but then there's the results still didn't come.
Right.
It was really hard, and even now, like sometimes I say, hey, if I don't know do something, I always say, hey, it's better than working at McDonald's, just
Right.
because I always remember the struggle, the hard times to push me to know that look, you made it this far, you don't want to go back to the hard times, to the struggle. So that's also a big driving factor. But long story short, so um, I had like two junior colleges who were pretty interested in me, and I decided to go to Ellsworth Community College in Iowa Falls in Iowa, and it was a walk-on spot. And the only reason why I decided to go there is a pretty funny story. Is because they had a rec center. Because at Independence, the weight room was a football weight room, and you were only allowed to get in there with a coach. But I was a red shirt, so I was like, okay, let me get some extra work. But I couldn't because no coach was in there at that time. And the other rec center was like 10 minutes away by a car, and I didn't have a car. So I used to sneak in the weight room at Independence. I got caught twice. I was really yelled at. I even cried in the shower one time at Independence because all I wanted to do is get better, and I felt
Like they weren't allowing you to get
yes, exactly. So that's why I chose Ellsworth Community College because they had a rec center on campus where I could train whenever the fuck I wanted.
there. Right.
Because I think one of the things that even like stress me out now if somebody takes the opportunity away from you to get better.
Right.
Because that really pisses me off. Like that's why my big goal is to one day open a big sports performance gym with access 24/7, so everybody can get in their work if they really want and need to, with like open 365, like whatever the fuck, like
Round the clock,
yes,
baby.
full go, like for hungry motherfuckers who really want to make it in life. But yeah, so after those 6 months in Italy, found this new junior college in Ellsworth. Again, go fly, come back to United States that fall. Go through fall camp. This is now my sophomore year. I still had 4 years of eligibility playing football, and also then I almost didn't make the team that year as well. Like it was between me and another linebacker, but he was hurt, so I was I was able to make the team just because he was hurt. Again, a lot of adversity, a lot of struggle, just because I was thinking, okay, a lot of they would. I wasn't that good back then either, but I think with all the work I was putting in, I was worth something.
Yes.
I didn't play a lot that first year at Ellsworth. Um, and then again, even there, since I was a walk on, I had to find a way to make money. Um, I was oh yeah, I was a residential assistant, so I was working in the dorms. I was a math tutor. Um, Funny enough, math tutor only because if you were an RA, the only other job you were allowed to have was a tutor type of job. And I wasn't that good at math, but I knew if I wanted to get a second job, the only way I could do that is by becoming a tutor. So
You learn math quickly.
yes, I was forced. Like this was another desperation moment, like to survive. I had to be good at math to get this job to be a tutor, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And then yeah, like the whole JUCO experience, like the first year I was living in those dorms. It was basically a jailhouse, like the Thompson Halls was called. It was rough, man. Fuck. But also like again, like all that stuff, like all that struggle still like is in my mind, and like that's why I'm like so happy with little things, because I remember like the struggle I had to go through back in the days. That really like I said, I'm molded from the fucking struggle.
So this is now your second go round at junior college. Would you say that you were more prepared at this time?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I for sure had more experience because I knew how cutthroat it all was. For instance, at Independence, we had 200 players just at summer camp, and 100 players got cut. With 80 returners, then we were 180, and 40 players got cut. So already then I understood, like, wow, okay, this is a cutthroat like system.
Right.
So I knew what I was walking into. Once I got to my second junior college, Ellsworth, my first year, I knew, okay, look, this is straight business. I'm here to get out. Like I was locked in. There was again nothing else. Again, another junior college, Iowa, middle of nowhere. At least I have a weight room.
You had that rec room.
I had that rec room that I had access to. It was a little better experience for sure. But yes, I was more prepared. I knew what I was walking into, and like I said, the first season, a lot of adversity again. Almost didn't make the team, didn't play that much, but I would say I was trying to find a way to make money to be able to pay for school. That was some for sure the first year, and then going to the second year, it was the spring semester is where then I also another job I did at Ellsworth. That was when I wasn't a RA, a residential assistant. I worked at the rec center, just one of the
Okay.
guys who sits there and like overwatches people. So I mean, I've done all the shit you can think to
In your bag.
survive. Yes, and getting my bag, I still had to pay a little extra from the school, so I was barely able to survive.
Yeah.
And sometimes in my mind, I was like, yo, why the fuck am I doing all this shit for? Like, in Italy, school is almost free. I just got here, for instance, to say, like, people call it the American dream. That's what I'm here for. Like, also the opportunities to open a business, you have a lot more freedom than in Europe, I would say. But um, walking into the second season at Ellsworth Community College, I was actually put as a defensive end that second year because we didn't have nobody, and I was in front of a really good player, so I wasn't even starting my sophomore year at Ellsworth at my junior college. Was really depressing because I needed to get filmed to get recruited.
Right.
So with that, at mid-season, I'll talk to the DCs. I look like I know blah blah blah, but I really like think to I'm better at linebacker. Like linebacker is my position. He said, "Oh, okay." So basically, around game 4, made the transition, and the linebacker at that time who was starting got expelled because he of targeting. So he hit somebody on the head, and I got in, and I did really well. And from that game forward, I was the starter.
Good.
And that was just a moment like, wow, like okay, maybe we found some here. I did really good that year actually. Like I got all American accolades. Like I balled the fuck out. Like all the work from the past kind of like paid off like 3 years on the road.
Right.
Like I think a lot of people even nowadays like they quit way too early.
They want that instant result.
Yes, like no, like trust me, like I've been there. Like but even then, like I wanted to quit every fucking day. Like I had a period. I think it was my second year of junior college. It was like a 3 month period. Like every day I woke up, I was like, why in the world would I go through all this pain? Because like I said, I was still a walk-on. I had to work to make money. Like I was struggling. I was in junior. I was struggling, and I had to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to pay to struggle, and that I was like, yo, if they gave me a scholarship and I didn't have to do all these extra jobs to make money, I would struggle for free, no problem.
Right.
But I was paying to struggle, which pissed me off. That's why I wanted to quit for like 3 months straight. I was like, it's over. Like, but I kept believing. I kept working. Like, cause I always had this belief, like in my like, this little voice, like, dude, like you gonna do something with your life, even if you don't see it yet. Like,
Yeah,
I had
you're
this.
gonna make it.
I had this belief, like, fuck, like, even like back then, I realized all these people who made it, who got scholarship, who made it, they won. Like, nobody. I've never met somebody who really worked as hard as me. Or who, like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
the hunger, like the obsession I had, like was so intense. I knew like all this work has to pay off at one point. So at the end of the season, like I said, I did really good. But even then, like my junior college was the worst in the conference. I think we won maybe one game out of 10. So no, almost no colleges came to my school. I had one scholarship going out of finishing up my last season at the junior college, which was a D2 school, but it was as a defensive end, which again wasn't really the best option for me. So I had to, after those 2 years of playing, it was my last. I'll graduate junior college that fall of 20. I think 2019 was my last year, so I didn't have any eligibility for junior college anymore. So it's either walking onto a university and try to make the team, which was way too expensive for me, so I had no option to do that, or taking this Division 2 offer as a defensive end, which also wasn't the best spot for me, or going and doing an internship and basically like in my mind, okay, football at that time was kind of over. So basically, it was a very hard decision. Like I remember, like I was calling a lot of good friends of mine, just like trying to figure out. Like I made a lot of pros and cons. Like I really was so invested into okay, which would be the best decision to make it in life. So I made the decision to do an internship in Clearwater, Florida. Again, going back to the roots. Shout out to Adan Lopez, the trainer at Bulletproof Athletics, which is a sports performance gym. So I did an internship there from basically the year of 2020, and nobody knew that COVID was coming. So I got there like January of 2020 to do my internship. That's where I learned most of my training and all the good stuff. Like that's basically that year is where I completely transformed myself.
Mhm.
because that year is where I was basically all I did is I worked out 2 times a day, and that's where like I actually like learned how to train the right way, how to eat the right way. Like it was a game changer.
Mhm.
It was literally like tunnel vision completely again, because I knew like all this work has to pay off. The dream didn't die. Just sometimes you just, if you have a plan, I mean, sorry, if you have a goal, but the plan to get to the goal doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal. Like the goal was still the same. I wanted to go, even though I didn't know how or what. I kept believing. Like, and then guess what? In I think in October, like COVID hit, and in October they made the decision that everybody gets an extra year of eligibility,
Mhm.
and that for me meant, oh shit,
You're
now
back in the game.
I'm back in the game, and like I said, the whole Florida experience was really good. That's where actually Coach Juice then came apart, because I helped out as the strength and conditioning coach for my old high school, Clearwater Academy. Shout out Coach Jesse for the great opportunity there. Like, and that was like, whoa, okay, the strength and conditioning, like this is kind of my area. Like I want to
Mhm.
go into, and I want to help like hungry motherfuckers like me who like didn't have the chance or like the athletic ability or weren't born with genetics. I always say I wasn't born with great genetics. I worked my genetic profile, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think this is a great part to finish this episode, the first episode, just like as a part one of the journey of the route of Coach Juice, because there's so much more like details I want to go into what happened in Florida, and then how I got from Florida to Valdosta State on scholarship, like the whole transition, the work they got into, and all that good stuff. I want to put that in a second episode. Guys, thank you for watching and listening. Like, I'm so excited for the podcast. Let me know what you think. Share this podcast with somebody if you got any value out of it. Thank you so much. Be great. Separate to elevate always, and have a good day.